Hey guys, I am IzDaisho and I'm here bringing you some magic, opening up quite a strong pack here. The first three cards that my brain saw, or actually five cards that my brain saw, were Harbinger of the Tides, Thunderclap Wyvern, Separatist, Void Mage, Suppression Bonds, and Zendikar Incarnate, and then I saw Whirler Rogue. So, yeah, this is quite a strong pack. Suppression Bonds is a great removal spell. This is Void Mage is a really strong creature, I guess. I don't know, hard to describe it as anything else. It's a really big tempo play, very important card in the format to be aware of at all times. And there's Whirler Rogue, which is probably the second best uncommon behind Sentinel of the Eternal Watch, and then Harbinger of the Tides, which is just a really strong rare. So I don't know where to go. Like, I could definitely see a strong argument for Whirler Rogue, Suppression Bonds, or Harbinger of the Tides. I think I'm gonna go with Whirler Rogue, just because I think it's higher impact. Harbinger of the Tides is most of the time just going to be a Separatist Void Mage that you can sometimes play at instant speed. It's such a good card, but I don't, oh my god! And then I get past one of the best rares in the set. I mean, my opponent took a rare and they passed a foil rare, so they're probably a little bit upset. And I'm passing two Suppression Bonds, a Thunderclap Wyvern. Thunderclap Wyvern actually might make it back around now that I think about it, but there's no way I'm ever passing this card. So, yeah, I'm definitely throwing a lot of blue signals. There's another Void Mage in this pack. Seismic Elemental's a good card. Throwing Knife's a good card. Even Eyeblight Massacre is pretty good, but definitely the best cards in this pack are blue and white. So, anyway, we're going to take the irregulars here and be very happy about it. And again, I mean, just because I took a Whirler Rogue first pick doesn't mean I'm going to end up in blue. It just is a possibility. Alright, so here, probably just take the Blessed Spirits. Blessed? I think it's a little bit better than Gearcrafter. Not much. It might not even be better. I mean, if you just view this guy as a 3-mana 2/2 flyer, I think I'd rather have the Gearcrafter. But since I'm already in white, I kind of have some sort of inclination that I want to stay there, especially since the irregulars was passed to me. So, I mean, my opponent could have taken Tragic Arrogance instead of Kytheon's irregulars, and that would put them in white and me in white as well. So I might not really end up here, but yeah, I'm gonna be happy enough to take it. Watercourser is also a consideration. I mean, this card's not bad, and it is in blue. And then there's Rune Servitor, which is just going to make my deck no matter what. So that makes this guy a more appealing pick this early on in the draft, but it's not quite as high of a power level as the other cards that I'm taking. Wow. So I could continue on the blue-white plan and take the Thunderclap Wyvern. I think another one might actually be coming back, and that would be my fourth 4-drop, which would be a lot. So taking a Cleric of the Forward Order is probably correct here, but I think I'm going to go for the higher upside pick and go with the Thunderclap Wyvern. I could definitely see this being a really bad pick, and just that Cleric of the Forward Order is just the more disciplined, better pick. But there is an issue of sending the signal that blue-white is open, considering that I've already sent a lot of strong blue and white cards. That being said, it's only one pack, so I don't really want somebody who's in blue and white to my left, I guess. I don't mind if we share one color, but I don't know. I'm going to take the Thunderclap Wyvern, but really not sure if that was correct or not. So, I mean, there's a Ringworn Owl actually in this pack. I was going to say that there isn't really too much blue, but Ringworn Owl is probably like the second best card, maybe tied with Mighty Leap or Hitchclaw Recluse. I don't know. Anyway, Celestial Flare is the best card in the pack, and I'm already in white, so happy to take it. Well, let's run it back. I mean, there's another Ringworn Owl, but I'll still take second Celestial Flare over first Ringworn Owl. There's a Might of the Masses, which is maybe on par with Celestial Flare. And there's a Screeching Scav in case I wanted a 2-drop, but I'll be happy with this for now. Alright, so Blood Cursed Knight. I mean, this honestly could be a consideration. I don't have any Suppression Bonds, and I already shipped 2 of them, but I have a lot of white cards. If I had taken the Cleric, then this would be a much higher up on my list, but I think I'm just going to take a Stratus Walk here. if I do end up with some ground creatures, and giving them flying and bonuses from this will be pretty nice. So I passed the I'm gonna take the disperse here, but I passed the white-black card, and then I immediately get past a card that would be good in the white-black deck, but yeah, I'm gonna be happy enough with disperse. So none of the blue-white cards made it back, which is a bad sign, because that, I mean, I kind of got the idea that blue-white would be a really highly sought-after color combination in this draft, just because of the first two packs that I saw were really stacked with blue and white cards. And when you see that in the first pack, and then people are going to see signals late in the draft, and they're going to see, oh my god, I just got a 5th pick suppression bonds, white is wide open. But it really isn't, because I'm in white as well. And Eyeblight Massacre making all around the table. I'm going to take a Mighty Leap because I think that I'll actually need playables at some point. I could move in on black and abandon my blue. Go with the Irregulars, Blessed Spirits, Celestial Flares. But I think I'm going to stay the course. Could turn out to be a mistake. Go with a Grasp over an Enlightened Ascetic, but not sure if that's right. I also could have even taken the Fairy Miscreant. I already have a Thunderclap over it, although I'm not likely to get another one. So even though my first two picks were really kind of insane, I think that I kind of set myself up pretty poorly, and I should have taken that Cleric and then moved in on black-white. I think that was probably what would have been a more disciplined, smarter way to draft this. And I'm unlikely to get the premium white 2-drops, and I'll need to kind of fill my deck out with Maritime Guards and such. That being said, I have 11 reasonably playable cards. I just need some creatures, because I have 7 2-drop non-creature spells right now. But we'll see how this turns out. I mean, it could just be that in pack 3 I'll kind of get rewarded and I'll be at the front of 4 people who are drafting these colors, so you never know. I don't care about that card. I'd rather take a land over. You never know, somebody else might play it, and then that would be quite beneficial for me. Alright, so open Woodland Bellower. This is actually super unfortunate, because I kind of needed every pack to have playables in it, and this pack doesn't have any playables in it. I didn't see green be open at all in pack 1. I don't think that the Bellower is worth any money. Woodland Bellow. And there are just no cards in my colors in this pack. There really aren't. I mean, there's a Healing Hands, a Mighty Leap, and a Maritime Guard. I don't need a second Mighty Leap. I could play a Guardians of Meletus or a Goldforge Sentinel. If there was a strong black card, I would consider speculating on that, but I think I'm just going to take the stupid Woodland Bellower. No, I'll take the Maritime Guard. What am I saying? I'm going to take the Maritime Guard because I'll need creatures by the end of this draft, and if this guy doesn't make it back around, which he probably won't, then I'll be really upset that I passed it. Alright, Jessian Thief is really solid here. Knight of the Pilgrim's Road would also be a nice card, but I'm very happy to be picking up a premium blue uncommon. My person to my left took a rare, so not a surprise that a blue card is passed, because they could have taken a rare blue card or a rare card in their color. Alright, I'm going to take another 4-drop because there isn't really much else in this pack for me. But I don't love taking more 4s, especially because in blue-white the best cards are really 4s, so yeah, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel here. I don't mind an Enshrouding Mist, and honestly I think that it's reasonable for an Enshrouding Mist to go 4th, but there's just no other cards in my colors that are playable. And yeah, we're kind of running into that issue here. There's a Kytheon's Tactics, but that's not going to make the cut. I'll pick up an Evolving Wilds. You never know if this deck is going to need to splash. Scrapskin Drake's a great pickup for me. There's nothing else here that I would love to play. I saw the Bonded Construct, and I thought that's where I would have to go towards. Bone to Ash, also same kind of deal, where it might actually be a card that ends up being in my deck. But, you know, I'll be happy enough with the Scrapskin Drake here. It's not an incredible card for my deck, but what can you do? Play heavy infantry. I don't love the card, but it's not the end of the world, and it does kind of do a good job of going up the ground. So yeah, I'll make my playable count. Especially, I just need to hope that I can get the premium or at least decent 2-drops. And honestly, I don't really have great spells either. I don't have any suppression bonds. I don't have Separatist Void Mage, which I guess isn't a spell. I don't have Anchor to the Ether. So, not really. I've got a couple Celestial Flares and a Disperse as my removal. I've got a couple of combat tricks and a Grasp, but really not too much going on in terms of interacting with my opponent's stuff. And so far in this deck, I'm not really sure that I would rather have a Thunderclap Wyvern in my blue-white deck than just a Cleric of the Forward Order as just a 2-drop. Because I'm going to be really short on those. And the problem with not playing 2-drops in an aggressive deck is that you end up behind on the board, and then to attack, you can't attack because you're already behind on the board, your opponent's attacking you. So it's a little bit tricky there, for sure. That being said, I don't hate the spot that I'm in. I have some powerful cards and some nice synergies. Especially if I can pick up another Scrapskin Drake at some point, then, and I mean, I don't think I'll get another Thunderclap Wyvern. I was really hoping that the first one would make it around, and I don't think that it's unreasonable, because I think it was probably the 3rd best blue or white card left in that pack between Harbinger of the Tide, Suppression Bonds. I guess I'll take another, and Separatist Void Mage. I guess I'll take another Mighty Leap. There is a Reclusive Artificer. That doesn't matter though. I don't have any artifacts or anything like that. Warhorn doesn't matter. Yeah, I'll just take a Mighty Leap. It might make my deck. Ooh. Amperin Tactician or Maritime Guard. I'll take the 2-drop, even though I actually like Amperin Tactician a fair bit. I think it's a decent enough card. I already have 4 4s, and some of the best blue and white cards are 4s, so and I also don't have enough 2-drops, anywhere near enough 2-drops. Take a Deep Sea Terror. If the game goes long, then I'll want something big like that, so. Take a Dreadwaters over a Vastwood Gorger, just because Dreadwaters, if I pick up like 2 more, it could be a reasonable sideboard plan against somebody who's really just trying to stall the game out, and maybe even doing some self-milling themselves, and I could bring a couple in the sideboard, and then once you get like 7 or 8 lands, then you really only need 2 of them to mill your opponent out. So yeah, I mean, so I think it's a little bit better than hate drafting a mediocre card for my opponent. Alright, so how are we looking here? We're kind of looking like a 50-50 split. This guy, you really don't want to play him unless you're 10-7, but I think it's worth taking it. I don't think Abbott is more than a couple of tickets. Abbott. Yeah, he's only one and 2, so it's not too bad. Yeah, so I mean, this is a really strong and powerful card. I just don't think that, I don't know how reliably I'll be able to cast it. I'd kind of like that I have an Evolving Wilds already, though. So, no real consideration for anything else. There's a Knight of the Pilgrim's Road, which would be fine. Another Fiery Impulse, whatever. Maybe Sigil of Valor will make it around. I don't even know if that would make it into my deck, but. Okay, so here we have some options. I don't have any enchantments other than this Grasp, so Totem Guide Heartbeast is not gonna make it into the deck. I could take a 3-drop creature in Chief of the Foundry, which is fine. I could take an Alchemist Vial, probably don't need that. I could take another Enshrouding Mist, which would just be an upgrade over a Mighty Leap. Or I could take an Aspiring Aeronaut, which works kind of well with my Thunderclap Wyvern, but not much else. And I only have one Thunderclap Wyvern. I already have a bunch of 4-drop creatures. I'm just going to take the Chief of the Foundry. I guess it works well with the Whirler Rogue, so that's a thing, right? I mean, but I'm just playing it as a 3-mana 2/3, and I think that that's fine in this format. Whew. This is quite the pack here. Man, it's actually really interesting. I'm not exactly sure where to go. I think Knight of the White Orchid is good, but I think it's probably worse than Sigiled Starfish and Claustrophobia. I'm very much lacking removal, but I don't really want to know another blue card in the deck, especially if I want to be playing Consul's Lieutenants and Celestial Flares. And Kytheon's Regulars, which definitely wants you to skew your mana towards being able to get to 4 white mana. So I'm still going to take Claustrophobia just because I think my deck really needs some removal. But if somebody wanted to say Knight of the White Orchid to fill out my 2-drop slot, or Sigil Starfish, then I would really not blame them, because I think that this card is so strong in this format. Maybe I do just want the Sigil Starfish. It does so much for me. Ugh. Claustrophobia, though, is so solid. I think I have to take it, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. So if I hadn't taken the Chief of the Foundry, I'd probably just snap up the Drake. But I think I'll take the Anointer of Champions. Not many of my creatures are really going to be doing combat on the ground, though. But I already have, I guess, 4 3-drop creatures. Let's bring all of these pump spells and stuff out here. This is definitely skewing my ability to understand how this is going. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I kind of don't think that Anointer of Champions is really that good in this deck. I'm leaning towards Scrapshin Drake. No, I mean, Anointer is so much better, and if my opponent also has flyers, then I'll want an Anointer to get through, so I'll take that guy. All these Enshrouding Mists are flying around the table here. I'm going to take a Scab Goliath. I think it'll actually be a really beneficial card in this deck. Trade a couple of creatures off, then still have something to finish them off with. It's not unreasonable to take a Screeching Scab just as another 2-drop or an Evolving Wilds to really fix my mana a little bit more, but I think that I would miss an effect like this if I don't pick it right now. Take a Sphinx's Tutelage for the sideboard, I suppose. I'm already up to my playable count, and nowhere near my Fairy Miscreant count. So nothing to worry about that. I'm never going to play that card in this deck. Could take a Goldforge Sentinel, which wouldn't be unreasonable here. But I think that I won't need another flying finisher. I'd rather have this guy out of the sideboard. Alright, so we can take a 3rd Celestial Flare, and I do think that those kind of get worse in numbers just because the matchup, because you don't want to start 3 of these, because the matchups where they're bad, they're actually pretty bad. Or really bad, I guess I should say. Taking the Lightened Ascetic for the sideboard, which would be quite reasonable because I expect there to be some good Suppression Bonds decks out there that I want to beat. But I do think I need another mid-range, middle of the game creature, and Water Courser really fits that super well. So I'll be happy to pick that up. Gonna take a Negate for the sideboard here. Not too good of a pack for me. Take Yoke Docks for his sideboard for sure. Against another aggressive deck. Let's see. Is there any chance that I play Ascend to Sleep? Not really. I'll hate draft whatever, the Gnarlroot Trapper, in case somebody was planning on wheeling it, who knows. Zendikar Royal. Definitely no blue-white cards tabling here, I wouldn't expect. Alright, so I could use another Maritime Guard, or a Screeching Scab on the wheel, but that doesn't seem likely to happen by now. I'm going to take Grasp of the Hieromancer out. It doesn't seem very good in my deck. It's good on Consul's Lieutenant, and I guess it's good with Blessed Spirits. Kytheon's Tactics really is just not a card. It's kind of weird how you have to do work to get it to Spell Mastery. Where'd that card go? You have to do work to get it to Spell Mastery, but then it just does not pay you off at all. All it does is give you Vigilant. I mean, I guess that helps swing a race a little bit, but I've really never seen this card used to any success. Okay, so it looks like we still need to make one cut here. Still not sure on the Starfish pick, if I should have taken the Starfish instead of the Claustrophobia, but I think Claustrophobia will be really good in this deck. Actually, I think it's a pretty easy cut of Mighty Leap. This deck doesn't really want combat tricks too much. I like Veteran Sidearm. It's good on flyers because it really breaks a lot of those stalls. Not many of the flyers in the format have 3 power, so putting giving +1/+1 to the Wyvern or the Scrapskin Drake is really nice, or even Spirits. I still have Stratus Walk and Claustrophobia for the Spirits, but it's really just a 2/2 for 3. It's not nearly a good enough reason to play Hieromancer, or for sure not Sphinx's Tutelage. Does this work on any enchantment? Yeah, okay. Anyway, I think that this is my deck. I don't really like how it turned out, and that's kind of predictable. It's not like I really saw that much black or anything, though, which is probably where I would have ended up. And I didn't see suppression bombs throughout the entire draft, so if I had gone into black-white, that probably would have been really bad for me. When I say throughout the entire draft, I obviously know that there were suppression bonds in the first couple of picks, but I mean after that. Okay, so I probably just want to play... Let me just do a little color sort here. Whew. So we're really we're even up on blue and white. I kind of want to get 10 white sources in there so that I can play the Consul's Lieutenant, but I also really don't want to be only playing 8 blue sources for the Whirler Rogue and the Claustrophobia. I have 2 Celestial Flares and Irregulars. Alright, I'll play 9-7, which is really 10-8. But I'm not 100% sure on what the correct configuration should be. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the first round. Hey guys, here for Game of Magic, and I think this hand is pretty good. I've got some of my powerful cards in it. I've got a Jessian Thief as well as Kytheon's Irregulars. I was about to say that I can't quite cast Irregulars yet, but looks like I'll be able to do that come my next turn. Not my next turn, but I can do it now, basically. It's good, because I want to get planes with Evolving Wilds anyway, in case I draw Consul's Lieutenant, so it's nice to be able to have that. Alright, there's a Shambling Ghoul. Not great for me, but not the end of the world. It means that Jessian Thief is going to have a hard time getting in. Alright, so hopefully my opponent doesn't have a creature to follow up with here, because I don't really want to be behind on the board. It's not the end of the world that I am, especially since I've drawn enough lands now to cast all my spells. Any islands are kind of trashy, because I would like to double activate this, but still. Wow, Separatist Void Mage here too? It's really rough. Oh, just a Return Centaur. Oh, he's milling me. Alright. Suppose that works. Not exactly sure why you... What? Okay, not attacking there is actually pretty good, because he doesn't want to be like Separatist Void Mage and then I get in and draw a card. So definitely agree with that play there. And he's also kind of done attacking for a while, because he definitely... I mean, with Kytheon's Irregulars and Jessian Thief, he really doesn't want to leave up like one creature, because then all of a sudden Jessian Thief comes online and gets in there for an attack. Another Return Centaur. Maybe he's milling me. Maybe this is the mill deck. Like, he's actually going to mill me out. Interesting. Alright, so heavy infantry really doesn't do anything on this board. I'm just going to play the Scrapskin Drake here, and I'll have 2 mana up to Kythian's Regular something at end step. And I'll have maybe the option of playing heavy infantry next turn, but I mean, with 2 2/4s on his side of the board, really does nothing. And tapping something with the Irregulars at end step, tapping another Return Centaur, kind of means that I can attack, he can double block, and then I can disperse one of them, which will be nice. Get some value that way. So the reason why playing Scrapskin Drake, if I didn't have Irregulars or something of the sort on board, is so bad is because next turn I would be able to play Spirits plus Scrapskin Drake, but I don't mind letting him attack. There's a Thornbow Archer. That seems like a really weird include here. Alright, so the disperse plan is kind of out, because if I tap this and attack, then he can just triple block, and I'll just trade for 2 of his things, which isn't that good for me. So I do like drawing the planes, though. I suppose I could have also attacked with Jesse and Thief to ensure that he wouldn't triple block, because then he'll have to double block Jesse and Thief. Or he'll at least have to single block it, I mean, but that's alright. I should have a similar play available to me next turn, because I can still leave up 2 mana to tap something. Reeve Soul. So I could disperse this back to my hand if I really think that getting the second flyer is an important part of my strategy, but I don't think that it is. I have plenty of flyers in the deck, so I don't think I really need to be concerned about that. Wow, okay, so drawing the 4th planes is really nice here. Next turn I can start attacking with Irregulars and not really have to worry about too much. So I think this game's going well. I don't really think I'm getting milled out, because after the 2 Return Centaurs I saw an aggressive card in Thornbow Archer, and I mean, Rune Servitor and Shambling Ghoul aren't like huge tells, but they're pretty aggressive cards. I'm gonna tap one of these guys now, in case he is thinking of making a big attack and I don't really want to block with Irregulars. I will, since I have Disperse, but wow, I'm actually enjoying drawing these lands, especially since they're plains. Alright, so I'm just gonna tap 2 of his creatures here. Well, let's tap this one. And this one. I feel like this is just gonna get chumped. So I could trade it for Disperse. I could trade Rune Servitor for Disperse. Maybe I'll hold back with this guy. It's a tough choice, because Let's see, how much is my opponent cracking back for? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 10 damage is a lot. I am at 18, but I guess I'm probably okay with that. Is this Hydro Lash? Oh, there's a 4th mana. Nifix's Barrier. Alright. It's not great for me. Oh, I could have bounced that pre-combat. Alright. That didn't work out too well for me. So if I bounce that pre-combat, he has the option of just trading Rune Servitor for a card. I don't know. Not exactly sure what the best play was there. But I am definitely going to get hit for a bunch here. Could bounce something, but I don't think that's worth it. So I made a pretty aggressive play, and I sort of got blown out by that card. It might not have been worth it. I mean, I could just keep chipping away and then gradually win with my advantage from irregulars, but at this point I can't really attack on the ground, I don't think. I suppose I could have played heavy infantry and attacked with Jesse and Thief, but I really just don't want to get burned out here. Like, have one of my creatures removed and then get burned out. Whew. That's actually really good for me, because I can definitely see my opponent going for it at some point with that thing. So yeah, the plan is definitely just to hold the ground until Scrapskin Drake can finish the game. And drawing the 6 planes there is really sweet. Especially because I have Disperse, so that means that I can get rid of 7 blockers from an end step to an untap phase. So if he taps out or something like that, then I might actually just be able to win the game on the spot. Blightcaster. Right, I mean, that's not really doing much. Alright, let's tap the Natuka Husk. I could try and set up a situation where he's going for some weird double block, or for where he's trying to bounce up a couple of his creatures and then I can disperse it, but I don't think it's worth playing that game just yet. I'd rather keep the disperse in hand for a situation where I really need it. What's going on here? Turn to Frog. Okay, that's fine. I'm just gonna wait for him to block, because I need this guy to win the game here. I'm gonna wait for him to block, and if he blocks with just one thing, yeah, he should have blocked with a lot of things, but if he just blocks with one thing, then I can bounce his creature, and then I don't have to replay my Scrapskin Drake, which is nice. Otherwise, I would have just bounced the Scrapskin Drake, but I could have done it prior to combat, which would have kind of just been strictly worse. So definitely a fragile board state here. If he has, well, that's actually really bad for him. that. Alright, so if I don't tap down another one of his attackers, then he's not really doing much. So I'm going to tap down the flyer now. Because that just doubles my clock, and I mean, I still have regulars to tap down his creatures, so. But, I mean, you guys are seeing the power of this card. I've drawn like 5 spells this game, and my opponent's drawn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, if you include that, and I'm still, like, in very good position to win it. In fact, I just did win it. I actually didn't win it. I need to be careful here, because he can sacrifice his Priest of the Bloodright to the Nantuko Husk. I'm still going to play this guy. But my plan was just to... I guess it's only he's at 10, so I can't even hit for 6 and kill him. Yeah, I don't think that I want to attack with one of my guys and make it unblockable, because that's definitely leaving me more open than I really need to be. So he should definitely be sacrificing the priest here and not taking... Okay, so he did make the correct play there. So bouncing the Rune Servitor actually really helped me out here. Separatist Void Mage. Alright. So let's bounce some, or tap some stuff rather. What's the last thing that we want to tap? Return Centaur. Yeah, let's tap a Return Centaur. Alright, so I mean, hopefully I'll draw planes next turn. Actually, I only have like one of them left in my deck, right? I have 2 planes left in my deck. My opponent has reasonable attacks here, though, which is a little scary. Definitely may lose this one. If he attacks with everything, I get to eat the Thornbow Archer, I get to bounce here, I get to eat the Blightcaster. Yeah, he doesn't really have good attacks here. Wow. That was a great draw. So since I drew that, I don't think that I need to go on the aggro plan here. And I can continue chipping away here for just 2 in the air with my Scrapskin Drake and set up for lethal next turn. But let me just figure out exactly what's going to happen. So he's going to untap. I'm going to tap the same 3 things. Then he's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attackers to my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blockers. Alright. So he definitely still doesn't have any good attacks. I don't think that I can afford to send anything else in, especially considering I'll have lethal next turn if I don't have to chump block with any of my Thoptars. Alright. I think he's going to make an all-out attack here, though. Considering that he knows that I don't have any other cards. I'm only eating one of the Return Centaurs anyway, no matter what I do, so definitely don't want to... What? He's just passing. Well, there's Thunderclap Wyvern, which means that I can go for the kill without tapping an extra creature. Let's do it. Hydrolash. Alright. I guess I want to do this to play around Clash of Wills. Okay, so he gets one more turn, and he actually has one more attacker here. Or one more attacker to my fewer blockers than I did last turn. Which is a little bit awkward. What is this? I definitely have lethal for next turn though, which is good. Chief of the Foundry would have been a better draw for last turn, because I consecrated by blood. I don't think that does anything. Oh, well, no, that definitely does do something. I wonder if I'm dead. I may actually just be dead here. Yeah, so he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attackers to my 4 blockers. Looks like I'll be okay. Definitely don't want to block the Rune Servitor because that could give him an out if he doesn't have one. Alright, let's see what you got, buddy. Got 1 card, blue and black mana. Well, looks like I got it. Oh, okay, that's a pretty good play there. This Nantuko has all kinds of value for my opponent. Alright, so he gets to kill the irregulars. But he is for sure dead here. I don't think it matters with the Jessine Thief getting in, but doesn't matter. Wow, cannot believe that I won that game. I drew so many of my lands. Really just drew a lot of cards that game. It was just a very long game. Okay, so what do we want to be doing? Do we want to be Sphinx's tutelaging? If the game is going to go that long, I mean, what did my opponent have that could beat a 2-3 blocker? Like, nothing. I'm kind of tempted to bring in the Sphinx's Tutelage and the Deep Sea Serpent. Take out... Actually, I kind of like Veteran Sidearm. Take out Celestial Flare, maybe one of them. And maybe the Stratus Walk. I don't think I'll need to be that aggressive. Bring in these two. Maybe I'll take out the Anointer of Champions. Leave in the Celestial Flare. Could also think about bringing in a Gate. In a long game, it's going to find a target, and it's going to be pretty useful. I think I'll be okay without it, though. This is a little interesting match. My opponent is at 45 cards. I don't really know what's going on. Anyway, I don't have a great hand, but I have 2 of my best cards. Leading on planes in case I draw a Consul's Lieutenant. But if I don't draw Consul's Lieutenant, then I for sure want to play an island next turn so I can Claustrophobia on 3. If my opponent plays another, like another attacking creature, or even a 2-power creature, I'll probably just Claustrophobia one of them. For sure not going to Claustrophobia one of them because I actually have a creature to play. And that's awesome, especially because it's one that works really well with Whirler Rogue. Read the bones. I don't think that's going to be good enough here. My hand is kind of insane in that I have Whirler Rogue and Claustrophobia in it. But drawing 2 bigger spells when I have the mana to cast them is pretty nice. Deep Sea's Terror, I don't really care if I don't cast for another 6 turns because it's not going to be relevant for a while anyway. Unless my opponent mills me. Again, that was really nice. There's just so rarely is it worth it to mill your opponent unless you actually think you're going to mill them out. For 1 blue, I don't think there's anything, so there's no reason to tap my Thopters. I can trade 1 Thopter for a Rune Servitor at this point, which might be worth it if he attacks. Might not be worth it. Yeah, probably not worth it. I could trade the Whirler Rogue, though. Or I could just take 2 damage and play a 3/4 next turn. Have Rune Servitor never be important again. Alright, come on. Target me. Yeah! Thank you. Appreciate it, buddy. You are a pal. A true friend. I also have a 2/3 next turn, so yeah, this Rune Servitor is never attacking me again. Although this turn, I'm just going to have the 3/4 back because I can beat in for 8 damage here. Works for me. And he also gave me food for my Scab Goliath. I really appreciate my opponent's help in this one. Okay, so that, I mean, that could be an issue if I didn't have Claustrophobia in hand. Bad draw there. I can't actually play anything else this turn. And is my opponent just dead here? If he doesn't have a turn to Frog, he's just dead here. I mean, even if... Yeah, I guess he could play a turn to Frog on this. That saves him some life. Oh, I guess he has it. Whatever. It's not like it matters. Touch of Moonglove, that doesn't do it. Okay, cool. So, a little bit of a weird first game, but the second one definitely went my way. So, see you guys in the next round. Bye. Hey guys, here for round number 2. Hoping it goes as well as round number 1. This hand's a little bit weak. I may keep it just because of my considerations for my mana base, and because I'll have a 3-drop on the play, so I'm not really going to get run over. Let's try it out. I'm not 100% sure this hand is great, but at the same time, I don't think it's horrible either. There's a red mana. It could be a bit of a danger. Definitely saw a late Reclusive Artificer, so I should pay attention to that card and imagine that my opponent's going to be playing it. Oh, I probably should have played an island there. It doesn't really matter, because I draw a pump spell and want to pump this guy way too many times, but you never know. Sigiled Starfish is super annoying. I think this was the person who I was passing to in packs 1 and 3. Person on my left. Okay, so no intention of blocking, obviously, since I played Watercourse. If I played Chief of the Foundry, we might not have seen that pre-combat. Alright, not a great draw on my part. The additional lands... Actually, I probably should have still played a Plains there, maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. The additional lands past 5 or 6, I really want to be Plains, so that I can activate my Kytheon's Irregulars more. Alright, so my opponent had a plan here. What did they do with that card? Put it on the bottom. Ooh, I like that. Because if I can get this Starfish off the table and spend some of my mana this turn, I'm going to be very happy. I doubt he'll block, but whew, got there. For me to be able to get the Starfish off the table is going to be rare, and I would heavily suspect that my opponent is not going to risk it in combat in the next game if they draw it. Yeah, you got it, buddy. So hopefully my opponent has another burn spell for my Chief of the Foundry. That way I can actually cast my Scab Goliath next turn. If not, then I'm really looking to draw non-land. I did keep 5 lands, so it's not unreasonable that I would have drawn a couple lands and a couple of spells, but I hope that it doesn't happen. So getting beaten down in the air here. Would love to see a Thunderclap Wyvern off the top. That'd be good. My opponent discarded a mountain, meaning that... Opponent discarded a mountain, meaning that I don't really know the contents of what kind of card that was. Could be anything. Who knows? Maybe my opponent won't attack into my Thunderclap Wyvern mana. With the Tower Geist, that is. Scrapskin Drake's coming in. Nope, no fear. It's completely reasonable not to attack. It's an uncommon. They might not have even thought of it, and getting through some damage is really important at this point. Charging Griffin. Okay. So my plan here is to charge in with this guy. It's kind of a win-win for me, because if my opponent has a way to interact with it, then and pump up the Majoring Bully, then I get to cast Scab Goliath. On that note, I'm gonna easily throw the Maritime Guard right in front of here, fully expecting this to get Fiery Impulsed. Hopefully he just attacks with everything. I can block the Tower Geist here. Subterranean Scout. Okay. Majoring Bully. Sure. That's a little annoying. I definitely wanted to... Oh god. Am I dead? Yeah, I'm dead. That sucks. Alright, I guess I just pass the turn here and hope that my opponent doesn't attack with both flyers? That's not really too much to hope for. Active Treason got me, huh? Doesn't look like a Reclusive Artificer deck, so that's good news for me. Am I seeing another Active Treason here? No, Separatist Void Mage. Alright, well, definitely a very tempo-heavy, aggressive deck. This card's coming out. Too slow, doesn't do enough in this matchup. Let's see what other kind of sideboarding we can do. Definitely don't want that card. Could bring in a Yoke Dox, don't love it. Could bring in a Gate, Healing Hands, another Mighty Leap. I think a Mighty Leap might be a good option. I do not love my odds here, though. And I think I need to be aggressive in this matchup. But yeah, let's see if we can draw a more aggressive hand here. Well, I have two of my really bad cards, probably my two worst cards in my deck in hand, but I'm still going to keep it because I have early ways to interact and something to do at the top of my mana curve. So, again, we're going to start off on planes here in case we draw Lieutenant. That would be a really nice draw. Nope, but still got a 2-drop here, so can't complain. Whoa. I'll take that. Looks like my opponent kept a 1-lander, and fortunately I drew the 3-drop to really be able to put on some pressure here. Well, sometimes you win free games, but can't do much about it. I don't think that there's really any kind of draw that can get my opponent back into this one. Alright, I don't know why they would concede there. There's definitely a good chance that I show them another card, so I probably would have kept going, but whatever. Sometimes you feel like you can't continue. So do I want to cut one of these, like, maybe well, actually I kind of like Stratus Walk in this matchup. You can cut a Veteran Sidearm, but I do actually like that too. So I'm not going to cut anything here. Could cut a Charging Griffin, but I kind of like the fact that it can just trade for a Towergeist or some other flyer. I don't know. I don't know how aggressive or how deep my opponent's going with flyers, but I could definitely see cutting Charging Griffin. I just don't really want to dilute my creatures any further. Alright, pretty important game here. Whoever wins this gets to the finals and makes some monies. Monies? Not really. Packs. But okay. Don't love the hand. I'll keep it. I have Jessian Thief plus Stratus Walk. And I have blue mana, but I can't cast Consul's Lieutenant if I draw it on turn 2. Still good enough, I think. I also have Jessian Thief plus Veteran Sidearm, so that could do some work. Okay, so we drew our second blue source, which is nice. I guess I didn't really need to get a blue source with that Evolving Wilds. It is a lot worse if I draw Consul's Lieutenant. But I did it because I want to get my second blue, because there are 2 important double blue cards that I need for this deck. And I wanted to play my Evolving Wilds on turn 1 because there's a good chance that I'm going to be tapping out for a significant portion of the game, especially with Veteran Sidearm. Really makes you tap out pretty much every turn because you want to at least move the blade to whatever's untapped. So a lot of situations going on there. Not really sure why my opponent's thinking here. Maybe they had to get up to go get a drink. Or maybe they're actually considering and pondering what play it is. That's the one thing that's very different about real life than Magic Online, is sometimes you can just see your opponent do nothing for a while and it's because they're thinking, and other times it's just because they are literally sitting on the ground or leaving their desk or something like that. Anyway, really happy to not see a 2-drop out of my opponent. That definitely takes the pressure off and means that I can start putting some pressure on with Jessian Thief. There's some part of me that wants to play around Clash of Wills here, but that part of me is like more understanding that Clash of Wills is an uncommon, and it's more likely that my opponent just had a bad draw. Maybe they have a Fiery Impulse in hand. An Exquisite Firecraft will do. I guess that could have been another reason, especially since my opponent already showed me Lightning Javelin. I probably should have just waited a turn so that I could have Enshrouding Mist up. Probably a mistake there, actually. But we got the Scrapskin Drake working. I could give it Stratus Walk, which is super awkward because it already essentially has Stratus Walk. But I could also give one of my opponent's creatures Stratus Walk so I can block it with Scratch and Drake. That'd be kind of funny. It's definitely doable here. Maritime Guard. A little late to the party to deal with a Fire Fiend Elemental. I think I'm gonna Enshrouding Mist it and try and trade Enshrouding Mist for Fire Fiend Elemental. There aren't that many things that punish me. It's mostly just Disperse. So I'm okay taking some punishment from Disperse. It's not even like that bad for me if he has Disperse. What is it? Oh, I guess Ravaging Blaze. Ugh. Yeah, that's not great. Well, hopefully I'll draw a creature here. That qualifies. And I can move the blade back over to the Whirler Rogue so that I can trade with the Elemental. But, I mean, even last turn, my opponent traded 6 mana for 3. I guess 4 if you include the Veteran Sidearm. So it wasn't good for me, but since I actually have a clock and some pressure now, it really could have been way worse. I mean, I also could just not trade and Stratus Walk up the Whirler Rogue and start getting in there for 7 in the air. With my opponent down to 14, that's honestly not a terrible option. I'm not going to go for it because if my opponent has a bounce spell or something like that, or plays a Prickleborn next turn or something, then it'll be a very risky proposition, especially considering I already know that my opponent has Active Treason in their deck. So I don't think I'm going to... I think I'd rather just trade off and beat down slower in the air, but definitely something to consider. Really relying on the top of my deck here. Would have been an interesting game, or it would definitely be going way better for me if my Jessian Thief didn't get killed right away, or if I had held up, if I had waited a turn on the Thief. It's a little bit risky to wait a turn on the Thief, but and I kind of basically there's no way that my opponent's keeping a hand that doesn't do anything until turn 4. They're an aggressive deck that would be insane. So they kept an Exquisite Firecraft. I had put them on keeping a Fiery Impulse. So my thought process had factored in that they didn't do anything on turns 1, 2, and 3, but it didn't necessarily get the right card. I just got a little bit tripped up there. So, and the reward for playing Jessian Thief on turn 3 is that even if my opponent has a turn 4 creature, I can still equip up with Sword or with Sidearm, whatever, or Stratus Walk it. So there's definitely a reasonable line of play for me to actually gain a significant advantage by playing the Jessian Thief a turn earlier. That being said, my opponent isn't likely to be able to answer a Jessian Thief with a Stratus Walk and a Veteran Sidearm anytime soon, so just basically slow playing it and not getting the card as quickly as I did also is a viable option. If my opponent still has Fiery Impulse here, I'm kind of a little bit sad because my Whirler... Oh, okay. Looks like he would have done it before combat. definitely trading off there because I have a nice board advantage. Well, that's pretty good for him. Gets to trade off with my. He gets to basically draw an extra card and like a good card. Well, maybe good card. It could have been a land. Oh, okay. Well, looks like we're down to a kind of a standstill at this point. That was a good draw. Because now I can attack here, and if he double blocks, then I get to 2-for-1 him. Alright, doesn't really matter what order we do this in, because they're both dying. So here I think I actually just want to keep the sidearm on the Scrapskin Drake in case my opponent draws Fiery Impulse. And I don't think that I want to play Stratus Walk just yet, even though it will cycle. I think that I can actually get a decent advantage if I draw like a Consul's Lieutenant or something. Alright. That was a good draw. I was going to have to trade the Scrapskin Drake off, but hopefully I'm going to attack with everything, and hopefully I'll just be able to push 4 damage through and still get the giant off the board. He might go for the trade here, and if he does, I'll probably just let it happen, because I still have a nice clock with 3 power of flyers, and then I'll have another Celestial Flare in hand, so I can actually deal with the next threat he has. And now my opponent's down to just 1 card in hand. So this is looking good for me. A lot of nice top decks in a row. By no means does it means. It definitely doesn't mean that I'm in great shape, but what is this? That's fine. So what's he going to do? Is he going to bounce? Okay, so he's going to bounce the Scrapskin Drake to not take 3 this turn. The assumption being that the Thopter won't do more than 3 damage this game. That seems a little off. But that, let's see. No, it's only opponent controls. Okay. So I was going to say that could have been a huge blowout if I had Celestial Flared when he had 1 attacker, but it doesn't actually matter. Okay, and I can just replay the Drake, and again equip up the Drake here so that I don't get Fiery Impulse. I guess I could equip up one of the Thopters so I don't get Chandra's Fury, but I think it's unlikely for my opponent to be playing Chandra's Fury. Alright, I think it's time to cycle this. I already played Whirler Rogue. I'm probably not going to play Claustrophobia this turn. Alright, I don't think it matters. But I need to make a decision on whether or not I want to attack with one of my Thopters. So if I do, then I take him down to... yeah, I probably don't want to, actually. Probably want to hold back so I could keep the Subterranean Scout back. And honestly, I could keep the Harbinger of the Tides back, too. So, yeah, so if I attack for 5, then I take my opponent down to 8. Then I can attack for 5 again, take them down to 3, and Mighty Leap them down to 1, which doesn't really do me any good. So I think I'd rather just hit for 4 this turn, and then, I mean, honestly, I could just go 4-4-4, but... Alright, do we want to play out this Plains? Probably don't need to. Yeah, so I mean, I could just hit for 4, 4, and then 5, and I don't even need to use the Mighty Leap. If he trades here, then that's a different story, but I can still use the Mighty Leap to kill him in 2 turns. Alright, so he's just attacking me here. I'll block. I don't think he really has any other options, but it's not bad for me. At this point, since he could have Fiery Impulse in hand, actually it doesn't matter. I can just re-equip. It's not that expensive. I definitely don't want to die to Active Treason, but I'm not really in danger of that, even if he had another Ravaging Blaze. I guess I could get hurt by a Active Treason plus Fiery Conclusion. Well, he definitely doesn't have Fiery Conclusion, so I think I'm just going to go for it with Mighty Leap here. I should have moved the veteran sidearm over, but it looks like he's dead. Okay, cool. So won the match. That was actually a really close one. I got really lucky in that last game, so very happy that I got some nice draws. My opponent does not seem like they were happy. They seemed very upset by the end of it. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next round. Hey guys, here bringing you another game of Magic, and I've got quite the hand. I think it's going to be a keep. Got 2 Celestial Flares, which should keep me alive plenty long enough. This card is not going to be good in my opener. Stratus Walk and Cycle to hopefully get me to my second Plains. If it was a Plains, then it would be an easy keep, but as it stands, I think I'm going to be okay. The only way that this hand is bad is if I draw islands. If I draw anything else, then I'll be okay. I guess if I draw more double white spells, but I think I only have like 2 of those in my deck. So, I mean, between like the 6 more or the 5 more islands and the 2 double white spells, I have a fair bit of bad draws here. Even like a heavy infantry would probably be a bad draw in the first couple of turns. But I definitely have a lot of good draws. I mean, I really just want to draw like a Maritime Guard to hold down the fort, and then that would be pretty good. Oh, okay, yeah, I am on the draw. That's what I thought. I thought I was on the draw. If I were on the play, I probably would not keep this hand. But I was on the draw. I don't know why my opponent's not doing anything. This keeps happening today, huh? Opponents who are sitting there, hanging around, not really doing much. Maybe this one's double queuing? I don't know. They are playing 41 cards. I do like to judge people based on if they play 41 cards or not. 41 cards is bad. It's definitely bad. And not because convention says that it's bad, just because you want to draw your good cards more than you want to draw your bad cards. And most of the time people are playing 41 cards is when they can't figure out what card to cut. But you have to be able to make those tough decisions in drafts. Even though super hypocritical, as I made some really poor decisions in the draft, taking that Thunderclap Wyvern over the Cleric of the Forward Order. I don't know how differently the draft would have gone, but definitely a mistake. Not definitely a mistake, probably a mistake. Alright, opponent shows up, and I get rewarded. And when I say rewarded, I mean, it's not like I guess it is rewarded? I don't know. I got lucky and get the Evolving Wilds for the second Plains. Tobin Freeblade, Cleric of the Forward Order. Same thing here. Unless I draw a Maritime Guard, I'm probably just going to Celestial Flare it. Because I don't see any way that that's not doing a ton of damage to me this game. Allows me to use my mana efficiently. I don't know. It's not the end of the world. Dead Shaman. That is the end of the world. Thinking of just giving this thing Stratus Walk so that I can draw a card, because I really do need a cycle here. I wish that I could also play Celestial Flare this turn, but does not seem like that is going to happen. And time to get beaten down a bit. Another one, huh? Well, this sucks. Alright, I think I want to do this to one on the ground. The good thing is that I can actually, next turn, if I draw a creature, I don't know if I'll want to, but I can trade a Thunderclap Wyvern and discard the creature and then play Scab Goliath. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. I'll probably just lose a land and it won't be that big of a deal. I'll be happy about the irregulars here. Take another 4 damage, but with Celestial Flare, the Thunderclap Wyvern, I think I should actually be okay. Because I can play Thunderclap Wyvern and use the irregulars in the same turn next turn. It's pretty good for me. I could always just discard the Scab Goliath to the Deadbridge Shaman. I hope it's not a Suppression Bonds. That would be super annoying. Seems like a Suppression Bonds, because they're about to tap their mana, and then they realize, oh no, I want to have mana. Oh no, they're playing a Swamp anyway. Never mind. I don't know. I don't know. Alright, so the opponent probably has... could easily still have a Suppression... Okay, Rabid Bloodsucker. Alright, so what's the plan here? I could... actually, I think I know what I'm going to do. Yeah. Alright, so first things first, I'm going to attack with the irregulars. He's probably going to block, then I can use Celestial Flare, and then I can still have 2 mana up to tap the Deadbridge Shaman. Next turn, I only take 1 damage, the board's pretty stable, and I've got an irregulars in play with 4 white mana up. I also could have just tapped that, but then when I play Celestial Flare, he sacrifices the Deadbridge Shaman or the Fetid Imp, and I'm taking too much damage. I also could have played the Thunderclap Wyvern this turn instead of tapping the Deadbridge Shaman and traded for the Fetid Imp, but I don't want to take the extra 3 damage. Alright, so I am getting Suppression Bonds did. Ooh. Disperse is nice. Let's see, how much mana do I have? I have 7 mana this turn, which is not a good amount. Because yeah. Oh, alright. I should not have played that land out. Oh, that's bad. Alright, I'm just gonna disperse the irregulars and play it. And I'll take 4 damage this turn and then hopefully stabilize. Maybe even draw planes, that'd be nice. Whew. The luck. I think that I'm probably going to get Unholy Hungered here. Oh god. That sucks. Especially because I'm at exactly 3 life, which means that I have to trade here. Maybe I shouldn't have attacked. I don't think I can not attack there. Then I lose my Scab Goliath as well. Ugh. Well, now I know that Kythian's Irregulars does not enter combat. I could have played around that, but... And then I should have waited for the planes until post-combat, because now I obviously would not have played it. I think I was unlikely to win anyway, but if I had the Scab Goliath, I would at least have a path to victory. At this point, I do not. I'm not going to concede, because there's really no point. If I draw Whirler Rogue and my opponent just bricks off for a few turns, then I definitely have a chance. Maritime Guard's not going to do it, though. Alright, that's unfortunate. Whirler Rogue was next. I think I maybe could have won that game. Alright. So opponent's playing black-white. Not sure exactly where I want to be. Maybe Bone to Ash is where I want to be. Sounds a little weird, but it does seem pretty good in my deck. Play Bone to Ash instead of Scab Goliath. This card is sometimes really strong and sometimes not. I don't think it's great against the deck that's playing like Celestial Flare and Fetid Imp and a bunch of stuff like that. Eesh. I'll keep. It does not seem very good, especially against the kind of thing that my opponent was doing last game. But again, it's just these 2 planes, 2 island hands are really tough for me to throw back. I don't have as much assurance because I don't have the Celestial Flare, so I could still get run over by like a Token Freeblade or something, but whew, we finally drew Consul's Lieutenant after playing planes on turn 1. We did it, guys. This is just such a brutal start to a game of Magic. This card just, it does way too much. Do I just not attack into Celestial Flare? Jeez. I think that I don't. And I just Stratus Walk this guy. Because my opponent's got to play something, or I'll just continue to develop my board. Could be that they just didn't have a 2-drop and they wanted to game me. Who cares? Oh my god. I just... Alright, well, that is a super sick play if they didn't actually have anything. I wasn't thinking about Eyeblade Assassin at all, but that is a thing. Definitely severely punishes me for playing the way I did. Especially considering I could have just left up Mighty Leap, which would have been way better than losing it. Alright, he did have Celestial Flare, so it's not like I was completely insane or anything. But it is like I'm going to lose this game now. If I had left up Mighty Leap, then that would have been the best of all worlds. And, I mean, I still would have traded Mighty Leap for the Eyeblade Assassin, but I'd much rather have... I'd much rather have that guy on the battlefield right now. Consul's Lieutenant swinging in for 3 in the air or on the ground, just being able to hold off his entire squad would be way nicer than what I've got going on right now. Alright, well, this game looks to go on for a long time, which I think favors me, because I'm playing cards like Scrapskin Drake. and other flyers, so I can definitely start beating him down in the air while holding the ground with my heavy infantry and maritime guard. Obviously holding the land in hand for Deadbridge Shaman, but man, he had just... Not today, sir. He had just the super combo of being able to beat Consul's Lieutenant on the draw. Ugh. Alright, this is bad. I need to start drawing action spells because my opponent still has 5 cards in hand. I've got nothing. So I take it back. The long game definitely favors my opponent here. Okay, Rabid Bloodsucker is fine. Does mean that this game is going to slow down a little bit for me. I could just Claustrophobia it and keep getting in. It's probably a bad play, but I think that I do need to be aggressive here. Usually, if you can trade a creature for something, it's better than using your best removal spell. But in this game, I think that having the extra flyer is... I mean, the only ways that I win this game is if I draw Kythian's Irregulars, or... Alright. That's bad for me. I'm going to trade off here. So the only ways that I win this game are if I draw Kythian's Irregulars, or if I can kill my opponent quickly. Drawing heavy, or getting heavy infantry tapped down is really bad, though. Not tapped down, but, you know. Kind of sucks that I drew a Veteran Sidearm this turn. If I had just held off, then he would not actually be able to attack. But I'm really just any creature away from stabilizing this board. My opponent could have removal still, but either way. And at least I'm trading damage and I'm not just getting completely run over. Uh-oh. What? Well, that's unrealistic. Alright, I mean, my opponent's deck was really good, and mine wasn't very good, so I can't really complain about losing that match, but can't help but think that I may have been able to win. I mean, he had the Reeve Soul anyway, and I wouldn't have had the Mighty Leap. So, I think he's just had a really good draw to beat Consul's Lieutenant on the play, whereas that card often just loses or wins games. But either way, managed to make it to the finals, which with what was not really a great deck. Couldn't carry it all the way with Kythian's Irregulars. Maybe in game 1 I stood a chance if I hadn't attacked there. Because, I mean, I just put him on Unholy Hunger, so I assumed that the Irregulars were going to die. At the same time, there's no reason for me to have played the Plains out. So I definitely misplayed the end of game 1. I didn't think about it enough. If I hadn't attacked, then I probably could have won. But I don't know if I should have known that. Either way, I think it was really important for me to add the extra Plains in deck construction. Irregulars in the late game, especially we saw in game 1, it really just happened that the game just dragged on and on and on, and I drew more and more Plains as the game went on. I think I got lucky by drawing a billion lands that game, but I don't know if I had drawn spells, I probably would have been fine as well. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the draft, even though the ending wasn't necessarily where I wanted it to be. But yeah, I mean, those first 2 picks, Whirler Rogue and Kythian's Irregulars, really carried me throughout the draft. So have a wonderful day, guys. Bye.